Welcome to The Explainer. We often think a company's carbon footprint stops right at the factory gate. But what if that's just the very tip of the iceberg? Today, we're going to dive into the hidden world of downstream emissions, the impact a product has long, long after it's been sold. So let's just start with a really big question. A company makes something. It sells it. Once that product is out in the world, are the emissions it creates for the rest of its life still the company's problem? It's a much more complicated question than you might think. And to even begin to answer that, we have to follow the product on its journey. From the moment it's shipped out to the day it's finally thrown away, its environmental story is still being written. And that's exactly where we find downstream emissions. Put simply, they're all the emissions that come from products after they've been sold. Think about the gasoline a car burns or the electricity your TV uses. Believe it or not, that's all part of the manufacturer's downstream footprint. A really easy way to think about this is to look at the two sides of a company's indirect footprint. Upstream is the carbon cost of everything coming in, all the materials, the supplies, the services. Downstream is the complete opposite. It's the footprint of everything going out. So, let's actually trace that journey. By following a single product, we can start to uncover the first part of this hidden post-sale life. This whole journey really breaks down into three main stages. And yeah, each one has its own carbon price tag. First, getting it to the customer. Second, the customer actually using it. And third, what happens when it's eventually tossed out. Okay, first up is what the official GHG protocol calls Category 9, transportation. These are all the emissions from shipping those finished products to you, the customer. It's the perfect mirror image of upstream transport, the trucks bringing raw materials to the factory. Next, we get to Category 11, the use of sold products. And for a lot of companies, this is the big one. Think about a car burning gasoline, a laptop constantly drawing power, or a fridge that's running 24/7. This one category can often be a company's single largest source of emissions. It's huge. So where does the product's journey end? Well, that's Category 12, end of life. Whether it's slowly breaking down in a landfill, getting incinerated, or being recycled, all the emissions generated during its disposal are tallied up right here. But a company's impact isn't just about its physical products. Let's take a look now at the ripple effect that spreads through all of its business relationships and partnerships. And this influence creates three really distinct business ripples: how its products get processed by other companies, how its assets get used, and even how its brand is operated by others. This brings us to Category 10, the processing of sold products. Okay, imagine a company that sells plastic pellets. Their customer buys those pellets and melts them down to make, say, water bottles. The energy and the emissions from that whole melting process, that falls into this category for the original company that sold the pellets. Then you've got Category 13, which covers downstream leased assets. So if a company owns a building and leases it out to another business, the tenant's day-to-day operational emissions, their electricity, their heating, get counted on the owner's downstream ledger. And this is the key. This is the exact flip side of upstream leasing. Upstream, you count the emissions from the office building you rent. Downstream, you count the emissions from the building you own and rent out to someone else. Category 14 is franchises, and it's pretty straightforward. For a massive global brand with thousands of locations, this category just adds up all the direct Scope 1 and 2 emissions from every single one of those restaurants or stores. We're talking the electricity, the natural gas for the grills, all of it. Now, that ripple effect we were talking about, it gets even bigger. It's not just about products and properties. It's also about where a company puts its money. Which brings us to one of the most complex, but also one of the most powerful downstream categories. It's all about following the money. Welcome to Category 15, investments. Now, this one is mainly for banks, investment funds, and other financial institutions. If a bank lends money to or owns a share in another company, it becomes responsible for a proportional slice of that company's emissions. It's a highly specialized area for sure, but its impact is absolutely massive. So, wow. We've covered transportation, product use, disposal, franchises, and even investments. After looking at all of these different pieces, what's the big picture here? Why does any of this matter so much? And here it is, the entire downstream landscape all laid out. It really proves that a company's true carbon footprint isn't just what happens inside its own four walls. It's this huge, interconnected web that extends through its products, its partners, and its investments. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? For so many businesses, especially ones that sell energy-hungry products or offer financial services, these downstream emissions aren't just a small piece of the puzzle, they are often the biggest piece, and by far the hardest to actually see and measure. Which leaves us with a final, really provocative thought to consider. If the majority of a company's environmental impact happens outside its own walls, hidden away in the lives of its products and the activities of its partners, where does its responsibility to the planet truly end?